Hello, this is Scott Carpenter. So, thought I'd do a little video concerning my 2 cents worth on a situation. I know that Steve Ishtow's got some friends in a very remote location where these very professional, very hard, tough guides that don't believe in any of the Sasquatch stuff are in a location where they're hundreds of miles away from civilization. They've got clients that paid probably 6 figures or close to it for these hunts, and unfortunately they've come upon a bunch of worked real good. They've unfortunately got a group of Sasquatch, clan of them, that aren't happy about their presence, so they're getting the full rural treatment, screaming, hollering, rock throwing, the whole nine. So these guys are, flipping out. And of course, this is unsolicited. This is my opinion. It's not been asked for, and so don't be forwarding this to Steve or whatever. I thought it was a good, though there's, 100,000 people that listen to him, and a lot that listen to Steve also listen to my channel. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to, what if I was in that situation? What would I recommend? And because, I might find myself in that situation, maybe not millions of miles away, but I might be on a remote camping trip, which I've done before, and find myself in that situation. Some of my subscribers are people that are guides and might actually end up in that situation. So I was discussing with my girlfriend, that's a bad place to be in, and you feel like you want to help, but I can't help, and there's no way I can get anything to them, but maybe I can help people that might eventually end up in that situation. And I'm by no means an expert, period. And I have some experience, and all I can do is share what my experience has taught me and what I've learned myself and what I've learned from my friends. But the rancher situation really comes into play, because though not exactly similar, it in some ways is. And and number one, of course, these guys, you can't be afraid of these guys. You can't. You got to have the healthy amount of fear, yes, but you've got to be able to show that that you're not afraid of them, and that a lot of that stuff they're doing, they're just trying to get those guys out of the area. And that might be if you can move your camp to another location, a quarter mile away or whatever, that might be a solution. I don't know. It depends on how wide the range is. I'm not aware of that situation, but the first thing I do, whenever I go into the woods, where I say I've got a hiking trip planned, or camping trip planned, something outdoors, I always have 2 alternatives. I always have 2 plans. And I'm just going to be honest, the reason I do that is because of the Sasquatch situation. And so if I go hiking, like if I'm hiking this trail and I get that weird feeling, or I get, they're doing stuff, throwing rocks at me and making vocalizations, and it's, apparent they don't want me hiking here today, then I've got, like right now, in my mind, I've got 3 more trails I can hike that are 10 minutes away from this location. So if I get run out of here, it's not going to ruin my day. I'm going to go somewhere else. Same thing with camping. Whenever I go camping, now if I'm paid in a paid camping ground, that's different. But if I'm going wilderness camping in the free spots, the public spots, and I've got 3 campgrounds in my mind, and we have campground number 1. And that's the one we go to, and if we have a situation there, we go to campground number 2, so forth and so on. So that's the first line of defense. Now the second line of defense, and it's just straight up, those guys, in my opinion, if that was happening to me, I always take trail cameras with me, always. And at least 3, maybe 4. They're cheap, inexpensive now. And it's not about the quality of the trail camera, it's about the fact that it's actually a trail camera and it's putting that passive infrared out. Because I'm 100% convinced, and I think the science is going to back it up. My experience backs it up, and hundreds of thousands of letters to Steve and me and Dave and everybody else back it up, that the Sasquatch obviously can see in the infrared spectrum. And that infrared spectrum also is it's a beautiful crane, a big one. But anyway, so where was I? So yeah, sorry, I get distracted easy. You can ask my girlfriend and the rest of my family, my friends. But so yeah, so the trail cameras, and I always, there's a big old turtle. I'm right against the water. There he is, and he went down. He turned around and looked. But yeah, oh, this is the trail I was on. I got rained on. I've got my umbrella. I've got a lighter pack today. So I always take trail cameras, always. And I put them up. I put a trail camera fence around, but depending on how my campsite lays, I either have them all pointing out towards the obvious direction of the woods and where the most logical entry points are, or I might do a camera fence, a camera watch the camera. That, and you know, especially in a public campground that's against the woods, or even in a one of these, or you know, paid or private. You know, now wilderness one I might take more, but in most of those situations where they're going to come in, they're curious, they're looking at children, listening to stuff. You know, 3 or 4 is enough. Maybe in a wilderness situation it may take more than that, but it will keep them back. And I have found for 90% of the time that'll keep them. Now it won't stop them from like across the lake and moaning and making the train whistle noises, and won't stop them from throwing rocks, but it will keep them out of your camp. And you know, like I said, I think it's about a 90 percentile. If you've got them, if they destroy the cameras, if they disable the cameras around your camp, then you've got a situation where you need to get your butt out of that location. Period, in a sentence. You know, no questions asked. Because nothing's 100%, and every situation's different. But for that, you know, that's what I do. And then, so you got multiple locations, the trail cameras. If I can go armed, I do. I just do. And it's not that I think that, you know, you can take one down, but people who go armed, it has, you know, the anecdotal evidence does bear it out that if you go and you're armed, that it persuades the Sasquatch from coming close to you or getting close, and it helps. Plus, you know, there's 2-legged predators that aren't hairy, and there's also 4-legged predators. Around here, like in East Tennessee, I'm the predator or the animal that concerns me the most are wild hogs. They're very unpredictable, and they can do some serious damage, especially 300-400 pounders. And so, you know, I'm more reticent of them, of bears and anything else. Even I know we've got mountain lions back in the area, and I think that would be, well, not out of the question, rare. But for around here, it's wild hogs. So we got so firearm. And of course, these guys, they got firearms, and so you know, encircling the camp with the cameras, and then just talking. And I know a lot of people get all bent out of shape, but when you've got a situation, especially a wilderness situation or like a public campground situation where you're against public land or on public land or on large tracts of, even if you're up against land that's owned. There's a couple brim right in there. Should have brought my fishing pole. But when you've got a situation like that, where you've got, you know, you could be encroaching on their territory. Because, you know, with Mike the rancher, we ran into a situation where these Sasquatch had a dominion over the land. In other words, it was their land. They were there first. Regardless of, you know, Mike could protect his home. You know, sorry, I had to use my walking stick to get a people over there. I had to use my walking stick to get a spider web down. Anyway, so he was in a situation where, you know, they had a right to the land, and so rebuking wouldn't do it. But I would still rebuke and pray around my campsite, and I do. When I go camping, or before, you know, I say a little prayer before I go hiking, before I go hunting, for protection, and the Lord to work through me and keep me safe, and kind of lay it in His hands. And the same thing with you know, with the camp. And I think, you know, if I was in that situation, I would definitely do that, because I think you bring all your assets to bear when you're dealing with these things. You know, because you don't know. Of course, they're very aggressive. Their behavior is very aggressive. You know, in this case, and if you get an aggressive one, you definitely want to do that. Because I think most of the time, they just want you out of their area. Most of the time. And sometimes you can oblige that, and sometimes you can't. But you could, like I said, they could move to another location. You know, and see if the Sasquatch follow them there. But just talk, what I would do if I was faced with that situation is just talk to them. Say, hey, you know, look, I can't move. We're here for 2 weeks. We're on a hunt. We'll leave you alone. You leave us alone. You know, let's come to that agreement. You know, if you need, you know, if you got a barter situation, you could barter. In other words, you know, just like, you know, if I want to hunt somebody's land, you know, I'll offer in a private land, I go and say, hey, you know, I'll offer to help you haul hay, or you know, we'll sign a hunting lease, etc. So, you know, and it's no different from the Sasquatch. So I see nothing wrong with bartering a deal and saying, look, you know, we're here hunting in your territory. We're here to get sheep, or we're here to get some elk. And we're going to be here for a couple weeks, and if we kill an elk, we'll leave you the heart and the liver and the kidneys, and we'll clean them up and lay them out somewhere, and you can have them. Of course, you can't, you know, go like talk to them, but you can go to the edge of the woods, speak loud and firm with authority. And of course, like I said, your last thing on that list would, of course, be the rebuking, to at least keep them away from you and keep yourself safe. And then some of it, you know, the bottom line is you just may have to tolerate some stuff. I mean, I've learned to tolerate stuff. I mean, it happens. I mean, you know, I have to put on bug spray, and I have to tolerate, you know, the bugs and the heat and everything else to do stuff outdoors. And the aggravation maybe of running into a bear or a wild hog. And so you just have to be prepared and ready to deal with that. You need to have that in your head, you know, when, you know, we're going to have to deal with some stuff. And you may have to deal with a Sasquatch. It's just the way it is. Death, taxes, and Sasquatch. There you go. If, you know, most people, all their lives out in the wilderness, don't ever have to deal with it. But some, you know, some of us do. And if you do, then you know, you just take it in stride. I'm prayed up. I'm confident in the Lord and protection. And if something's going to happen, then, you know, the Lord, you know, Lord forbid, but if it does, you know, we'll just take it as it comes. And so, There's my unsolicited and unexpert opinion about what I'd do if I was in those guys' situation up there in British Columbia in the middle of nowhere and was dealing with Sasquatch. And I'm sure Steve's a smarter dude than I am, and hopefully he'll get him some sound advice. And so he's had to deal with them as well. So there's my 2 cents worth on the things you do. You know, have an alternate plan when when you're out doing outdoor activities. Have an alternate plan. Take trail cameras and do your trail cameras. Go armed. You have prayer, and you have bartering and talking to them. Make a stern deal like, hey, depending on the situation, common sense. Use common sense the Lord gave you for that, and depending on the situation. And like I said, if you can leave, leave. That's my thing. If you can leave the situation, leave. But if you're in a situation, a wilderness situation, you've been dropped in and paid a lot of money, of course you can't leave. Move. Go to another location. You may have to walk a little farther, but still it might give you some peace. And then just be willing to deal with a little inconvenience. They're going to do things. I'm used to what they do. I've been doing this for over 10 years now. So when I went hiking with some people and they saw some stuff, and it was not freaking them out, but they're like, oh wow, look at this. And I tried to apologize to them. Look, I'm not cavalier to it. I see it, but I see it all the time. And it's just part of it. And it's like you make a mental note. Oh, there's a tree structure. Oh, there's a footprint. Oh, I heard one knock up here. Oh, I heard one take a whoop over here. I heard an owl call in the middle of the day, and I heard it get answered, So you just got to deal with it. You just got to, I don't know, deal with it's the right phrase, but probably is. You just have to be aware of it and understand it could happen, and be mentally prepared, and just move on and not let it ruin your day. So there you go. I know I've done some stuff similar, but I don't know if I've addressed a situation where you're already there and you're dealing with it. But that's what I do. If that's my 2 cents worth on what I'd do if I was having to deal with them in a remote location and I couldn't get away from it. I was going to have to stay there for a few days or a couple of weeks. Guys, y'all be careful out there. God bless you, and we'll talk to you soon.